Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Frankly Speaking with Vibhuti Jha. Today we are going to talk about a subject that ought to be very dear to us, a subject that we must be concerned about, even if not fully involved. And why not be involved? It's about women empowerment, the role of women. And that's something that I hold very dear to myself, because I have known all four characters of women: a mother, sister, wife, and a daughter. And I think this is universally true. We all have a relationship with all these four entities. And to be fair to men, there is the same role: father, brother, son, and husband. So these are all contemporaneous roles that we perform in a society. But somewhere along the line, we often hear that women, it would be inappropriate to say here, we know that there is so much of disturbance caused by women's maltreatment. And that's something which is remarkably important to address. We are in the 21st century. We are not living in archaic ages where you could shun somebody as inferior, weak, or ghar ki murgi. It doesn't happen anymore. Women are today as powerful as men. As I have often said on this program, that if a woman is trained in judo, karate, and martial arts, she could knock me down even if she may be 100 pounds less weight than I have. So the question is, it's not the weaker part of the life, but there is an important issue to be addressed as entities, as life, as events that we must address in our lifetime. We are living in a 21st century where technology has brought about many layers of ignorance has gone off the window. We know today that women are no longer responsible for gender determination of a child, which was a story once upon a time. Today we know it is we men are responsible for gender determination of a child. Therefore, the barriers that drew a dark kind of a scenario doesn't exist anymore. Women are an important part of our lives, not only in the roles they perform, but just as 50-50. If you look at the nature's distribution, you will always find that men and women almost share equal amount of population distribution. I had two friends in Pune. One had 4 daughters waiting for a son, and the other one had 4 sons waiting for a daughter. So one of the stories which I definitely want to hear and share with you is that when I was doing my graduation in Pune, I read an article in one of the newspapers written by a Bengali gentleman. The title was "Waiting for a Son." Remarkably beautiful write-up, a lot of touch of humor. And he said, waiting for a son, I had 4 daughters. Each one of them was remarkably accomplished. Each one of them loved the father as he never thought any son would love him. And then he ended it by saying, thank God I was waiting for a son. I have 4 lovely daughters, which I would never have had if I had a son earlier on. So ladies and gentlemen, viewers, I welcome one remarkable young lady, Poonam Kaur. Poonam, you are so welcome to my studios today. Thank you for joining us on this matter. Poonam has been in the field of film acting, and she's a remarkably strong lady who fights for women's causes, and also the fact that she is interested in politics. So this is a remarkable combination of the talent, the beauty, and the purpose. So welcome once again, and we will share your thoughts and pick your brain. And also welcome Mr. Panesar, Harry Panesar. He is a New Jersey resident, and he has a super PAC, and he's very active in social activities. Mr. Panesar, welcome to the studios and joining us today.
Thank you.
So Poonam, here is what I want to ask you. I saw some of once I came to know that you were coming today for the program, I did a little bit of a Google search. That's not what is called competition analysis, but just to get to know you. And I find that you are remarkably fluent in Telugu, and you do a lot of work in Telugu films or stage, so it seems. So tell us, resolve the mystery. How come Poonam Kaur is such a fluent Telugu speaker?
Well, namaste first, and thank you for having me here. When you say I'm a fluent Telugu speaker, trust me, I did not have the language in my school, but one of the competitions that I was in, it's called Miss Andhra competition. I mean, that was Andhra Pradesh. The state was Andhra Pradesh when the competition happened, and there was a question asked to me that you want to be Miss Andhra, but you cannot speak Telugu. I felt a little dejected when they said, you can't become Miss Andhra because you cannot speak the language. I mean, I do not really have to know the language. I definitely would want to learn the language, but that was a little insulting for me, and that's the day I decided that I'll learn the language. And but I had a question back to them saying, you're in India, but all of you cannot speak Hindi. So does that make you less Indian? I've been born in Andhra Pradesh. Yes, I did not have that language in my school. I couldn't speak until 2008 or 2009. But somewhere I felt a little responsible when he asked me that question that I should learn the language. So I targeted to learn that language, and my mother helped me to that. But I also feel that you do not need to be alienated because you are born in some other state, being in some other religion. I mean, you all are Indians. You are in America. Few of them are born Americans and then Desis. So that ejected me a little bit, and I said, I'm going to learn the language one day and speak as fluently as they do.
And it's truly remarkable. My first neighbor in Pune, when we moved from Bihar, was a Telugu speaking person.
Oh, okay.
A Telugu family. And the reason why I say that is that my sister was the first one to pick up that language.
I won the competition though.
Oh, you won. Congratulations. So my sister was the one who picked up the language remarkably easily.
Yeah, okay.
So the languages are, part of one's creation, one's lifestyle, and that's important that we must be. And I'm very glad you said to that person that just because you don't know Hindi doesn't make you less of an Indian.
Yeah.
That was very well said. Now, talking about your interest, you shared with me about women's empowerment.
Okay.
How did that and when did that trigger? It is.
First of all, the definitions which are widely spoken about, empowered women are something which I don't accept in a major concept where when you said, when you were introducing us here, just before that you said they're competing with men. I seriously feel they don't need to compete with women. They're two different species who are born differently. The thought process could be alike, but you don't have to compete with the other species. I mean, to be equal. Equals have to be in a state of respect. Equal has to be in state of responsibility. Equals has to be in the state of love. Equal has to be in state of decision making. Equals doesn't have to do something with the physical aspect of life. So equal for us means different, and I'm really very glad that I'm born in a Sikh and a Punjabi family, that we are taught ki sing or singani do bhi ek hi hote hain. They equally, they're treated equal by the gurus. So for me, competing with men did not happen because I've been brought up with brothers who are there. So in our families, there's no difference. It's like, bhai mujhe marta hai, main bhi usse marti hu. It's not like, you have to be chui mui and all of that. But when I went outside in India, that's when I realized that, they're treated differently. They're certainly not the decision makers, at least from the angle which I'm coming from. Even today, very hypocritically, they say that women are equal, they're empowered. There's a vast thing that I want to talk about, but for me, women empowerment would be acceptance of a thought process of a woman in decision making, acceptance of a thought process of a woman and believing in a woman that she can deliver, not just in terms of home, not just in terms of thing, but decision making. And when I said decision making, I talk about every field, each and every field, acceptance of a thought process, because I'm saying a thought process because the thought process of a man and a woman is different. You don't need to be same to be, maybe we are more productive in certain aspect, maybe you are more productive in certain aspect, but the acceptance of a thought that it can, you can become a defense minister one day. A woman, Nirmala Sitaraman, who's been the defense minister, So acceptance of a thought process of a woman being a woman, that she can yield really good aspects of life. It's not about competing with a man. It's not about hating a man. It's not about being physically equal to a man. I mean, I think that is very stupid.
You have said it very correctly that the word that you used, acceptance, is my favorite word.
Yeah.
It's not tolerance. Tolerance has a negative
Yeah,
connotation.
it does.
That
Yeah.
you have to tolerate something. I have to tolerate you because you
Yeah,
are here.
no.
I have to accept
I'm not
you.
expecting mercy out of this.
Correct.
You
So
understand?
I
when you
have
say
always
empowerment.
said that I have
Yeah.
told my friends in America, everywhere, I say that if you just replace the word tolerance
Yeah.
with acceptance and respect, the whole equation changes.
Changes. I mean, that's
And you
about
are totally right. The equality need not be in size, girth, height, weight, but equality has to be in terms of the fact that we all have same hands. Our nose performs identical
the
functions.
strength is always of the mind
Right.
and the character.
Character. And
Yeah.
that difference is the one which becomes because
Yeah.
of social practices, religious restrictions, and what have you. So
Yeah,
talking-
that's a deeper level.
that's
when
different.
we are
But
talking
social
about
empowerment, women empowerment is all about today, is because somewhere along the line people feel that they have been left behind by rules, laws, social customs
now that
and
is
traditions.
that is
we need to bring them
no
up
that
to
is
level.
that is suppression. Okay.
Yeah.
When we talk about say let's talk in a larger perspective. We're talking about women empowerment here in New York in a studio, and we are in United States of America,
Mhm.
where Hillary Clinton doesn't win. How do you define that?
Okay, now that's the political part. How
No,
she
but
doesn't- there is a
I'm
bigger
just
element to
saying
that.
that.
I'll give
I'm
you an
just saying
example,
that if a lot of American women would have believed in her, it would have been a different perspective altogether. I would have called that as the symbol of women empowerment. We had like a prime minister in India who's been a woman, but in America, did that happen ever?
Why do we take the American part of it as if America has a moral responsibility to elect a woman? But the women
not
fight
saying-
the election.
but we're talking
For example,
about
in this time,
Kamala Harris
is
yes.
there, Tulsi Gabbard is there,
Yeah.
Amy
They're
Gawasher is
fighting,
there.
but
So
I'm
they are
just
all in the
I'm
race.
just
Yeah.
saying. See, when we talk about it being a forward country, when that's what I'm coming to the definition of women empowerment. So accepting the decision making of a woman, accepting her thought process is what we have to. And when I say that, I say it in every field. Now, when you're talking about empowerment, also in a space where a lot of women are subjected to a lot of unjustified things. Even people think that they're only subjected to nonsense only in low-lying areas or uneducated or in a certain religion, but there's a lot a woman goes through even in the higher prospects of life.
Absolutely.
Like in every field and in every aspect of life. So when it comes to empowerment, it has to be such a strong character that one has to develop, that they should be able to fight across everything that they are facing in life.
And you are totally right about that, because what Vanessa Saab, aap abhi tak aaye nahi, but I will want your thought in the next segment that we get on to.
Sure.
Is the fact that Poonam referred to, is that enormity of the success, that if Hillary Clinton's election would have sufficed as a condition of women empowerment, my answer would be no, because it's a deeper thing. Yeah, but yes, so many people did not like her, people did not vote for her because she was not liked by people. It's a pure likability factor. It's nothing to
Acceptance.
do. It is not about anything about her, as a person, but as a person of Democratic Party with a past, in recent past. She came on the TV, she and her daughter, and when she was asked the question, what was your toughest part of your thing, she said, staying married after Bill's affairs came out. So that is that
talk show.
Somebody will say, oh, it was a political decision. I felt that was a very bold decision.
Yeah, it
To
was.
preserve the institution of marriage or relationship or
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
you do not take extreme action
Yeah.
because somebody missed out completely.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We will be right back after this short break. Welcome back. talking about women empowerment and the fact that women have been exploited, used, abused, and we hear the stories all day long, every time, every day. So the question arises is that how does the society come to do these things? How do individuals indulge in rape? How do individuals, particularly men, end up abusing women in this particular society? It baffles my mind. It kind of destroys the respectful relationship that you have with your mother, daughter, wife, or sister. Because every woman is one of the four things to somebody in the world, and vice versa. So, Vanessa Saab, tell me one thing about it. I feel somewhere along the line, I'm not an atheist. I'm a believer in acceptance as a religion. And I ask you, I want to hear from you that do you think that religion has a role to play in putting women on the secondary pedal than men?
It's quite debatable kind of question.
Is religion responsible? I'm talking about that. Is religion used in the manner that it gets women to a secondary role?
In some religion, I'll openly say there is a concept of superiority complex. Some religions, I won't name, promote that women are not modest or women cannot do many things which men are allowed. You can see in many of the countries, many women were never given the right even to drive a car or to leave their face open. Things are changing. I'll take you back to 1975 when Mrs. Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, and she declared International Women Year. And she made this campaign globally that women should be given equal rights. In our religion as Sikhism, yes, we are equals, but it's not equal with many other religions. That's very simple.
And this is where I look at self-reflection is the best way to learn something. In my Hindu faith, I mean, आपके गुरु भी गुरु गोविंद सिंह तो गुरु गोविंद ही नाम था उनका तो established किया उन्होंने इस faith को. So in our religion, Hinduism, there are words used as Ardhanarishwar, Ardhangini. They're very powerful words because you are complete only when the complete union exists, and men and women have coterminous relationship in this entire thing.
Yeah.
Nobody is unique in his own way. We are all unique in our own way, and that's the acceptance that is key to life. And you are totally right that religion plays a role in kind of denigrating women. What must change in the political part of it? Because again, politics begins to determine the whole segment. Because now people are talking about 33% reservation in parliament, 33% here, but then women still feel the glass ceiling. Men face the glass ceiling. But I know one thing for I'll talk about it because one of my friends, she was a HR head of a major corporation, and she encountered the glass ceiling, and she started a company naming it Breakwater. It's a very important name because women break water to bring a life on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
Now that is something which no man can ever think of doing.
Yeah.
And it's truly remarkable. So tell me about this, politics. I mean, you are also part of the political process. How does politics impact? Are these concepts of reservation, giving them adequate space, if you have not developed them from bottom up? Education is key. If education is not provided, education gives you insight, knowledge, ability to take a decision. But if you don't send children to school, child to school, it defeats the whole purpose.
Well, there's the ocean that you're talking about. And going through my own personal experiences in recent times, I know that politics can make and break things. It doesn't matter which gender you are. I've been politically targeted for many reasons unknown to me. The only reason was like a certain political party wanted to win and somebody had to lose, and in that political operation my name was taken. So that's when I was like a little shaken up and I said, oops, politics can just do anything. But if power can be used and can be applied in the right sense, in the right time, to the right people, I think it can bring about a change in life. It can bring betterment. It really is not about a man or woman when it comes to politics, because there's no gender bias there. Not in terms of reservation that I'm talking about, like in case if you're a chief minister or a prime minister who's targeting to become somebody, whether you're a man or a woman, you will be targeted. You will be pointed out at. I'm telling you, even when you look at the international campaigns which are going on right now in America, you will be spoken about. But whether let it be a man or a woman who wins a political seat, it could be a MLA, it could be a MP, it could be a senator, it could be a higher authority. I think if power is used properly for the betterment, it can bring about a lot of change in the society. So I don't see any gender, certain things, because I think politics is ruthless.
You said it correctly.
It's ruthless. You can be a woman and stand for elections. They will be ruthless at you. The more you're stronger, the more you'll be targeted, and the more you'll be insulted. The more you're compromising, you'll be called like a good woman, not just there, but in a right way. So for me, women empowerment is also about not misusing the power of being a woman. Not many people talk about it. I'm sorry, you went to politics, but as we are talking about women empowerment today, I would also say that yes, we are mothers and we are sisters and we are daughters, and many aspects which are naturally given to us by God. But I've also seen a lot of women who misuse the power of existence. That also should be talked about. I mean, I feel I have a lot of sympathy and empathy towards men who really go through a lot of emotional traumas, who go through a lot of inequality, so there is that section also. So don't make woman just a goddess who's good.
Right.
You understand that?
It's very, very simple. You use the word power, and power is, as we all know, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. We have seen that. And it's a very interesting thing which I heard, the dialogue in a movie, Sherlock Holmes movie, in which Professor Moriarty says that the human mind has such a strong sense of conflict. All that matters is whether you are supplying bandages or bullets. So taking that cue from there, you were 3 women prime ministers, heads of state, Indira Gandhi, Golda Meir and Margaret Thatcher. All 3 went to war. I always feel that if women leadership is there will be lesser wars. But the 3 ladies who have been successful prime ministers of their countries, when it came to taking a stand for war, they had no hesitation in moving forward.
There's no gender bias when you have to make a decision.
That's right. That is the important thing here. It was not power. It was the need to take a decision to bring about an effect or causality that is required. So talking about that part of it, you are a political animal. You have a super PAC. How do you think that equality? Sometimes I think the equality is a myth. Equality is not of shape, size and contours. Equality is about opportunity. Do you think the political system, even in this advanced country like America, provides true economic, political, social opportunity to people, and women included?
In terms of definition, as you were describing, seems fabulous. But in reality, the facts are not so. I'll quote you a small example of a neighbor country. The country had a woman prime minister. The country did fabulously well. But did they have any reservations for women in the entire country? Did it do any upliftment for those personalities, those ladies or women? No, they did not. On the contrary, you see in the corporate world, there are ladies who are now in the top portfolios, leaders. Nouri is one of the examples. In India, you will find many in pharmaceuticals, many in the field of finance. They have come out from a very basic, absolute basic background. They have brought the world leadership to the country. The other thing you see is the youth which is coming, especially women. You see their success, you see how nice they are doing world over. Whether it's America or it's India, the next generation is doing fabulous in this. But when you look at the role of leadership, yes, men today are having more preference in the corporate world. If you see pay equality, you will find the difference. If you see selection, there is biases. It will take time to be equal for both women and men.
It's very interesting because I'll tell you what, I worked in Indian bureaucracy in Reserve Bank of India. And in my batch of probationary guys, there were ladies as well. But we in India were part of a pay scale. You
Yes.
know that,
Yes.
right? Whether you are
Great
an IAS
promotions.
officer, RBI, State Bank of India, there is a pay scale. Men or women, boys and girls, they fit into that. When I joined an American Express Bank, and it was told you get what you negotiate for. So, but you have to deliver on your promises. But there is an important point here, which I always say that this gender discrimination, which ended up as a discrimination, which was not intended to be there, because path to hell is paved with good intentions, because ladies, women take the longest time to deliver a child. They are far more vulnerable in those 9 months. This is a part of the human thing, not the animal world. In the animal world, the gestation period is very short, relatively speaking. In the human child, it takes 9 months to be born, and it takes at least 15 years to have some sense put in him or her, right? So we nurture and grow.
Maybe a lifetime too.
Maybe a lifetime too. So here is the important social aspect, that when woman conceives, it takes longer time for her to deliver. And men, because we don't have that responsibility, we are physically stronger, relatively speaking. So we go out and hunt, bring food,
Provide.
provide. So that is the thing which degenerated into women's place at home. But my wife has a nice sticker at home. If you want a real job, become a homemaker. That's the time when you have the importance of that. And this issue came up when my son was to be born.
Yeah.
I was working in RBI, she was working in a hotel. She was a guest relations manager. And I said, look, one of us will have to attend. If you want me to attend, I'll do that. But then you have to then bring whatever I get in so that we can live a peaceful life. Point of the matter is here that certain ideas get implemented and it degenerates. And that is the reason what I see is that in today's world, as you rightly said earlier on, today women are out in the market. We know that a woman can take care of her body. If the choice is up to her now to become pregnant or not. So as a result of which, men are no longer the powerful one to do whatever they will. So woman now controls her life and body, and I'm very delighted about that for more than one reason. Is that now she has a choice, she is educated, she wants to lead her life of her own, and I'm all for it. So tell me about that, how your generation, I belong to a different generation, but I have grown up with my son, so I have a second lease of life. So your generation, how is it dealing with the institution of marriage?
Other than the fact that I really like the way you've observed and perceived things about a woman and a man, and you've been so open about it. So
Thank
I
you.
really would like to compliment you on
Thank
that.
you very much.
But I also want to say that a woman at the end of the day will not feel useless about themselves, even if they're not earning.
Right. True.
I'm just saying like in case if you're just born as a woman and you're having a baby, you're making a home, you still have work to do. But that's not the case with men. Men have to kind of have the pressure of earning money, and in case if they don't earn money, and I'm not just saying earning money, but a certain status in life, because of which they can go depressed and they couldn't go. So women on the whole are useful. It's like a neem tree, which is completely useful in some form or the other. Whereas men do not really honestly have the advantage of saying so. So
Touché, well said.
Yeah. And so the part is I have never thought less about myself any point of time. But I've always also seen that egoistic nature of men have suppressed a lot of women. It can be at home, it could be, you spoke about religion some time ago. I seriously don't feel it's the religion. I seriously don't feel, I feel it's the culture and the bringing up which matters the most. You can be born in any religion, but if you have great parents who inculcate the qualities of strength and responsibility and adaptability and change and challenges, if they inculcate those aspects and the bringing up is good, it's really, really nice to see anybody taking up challenges.
You have said something very beautiful, is that you stated a universal truth actually.
Yeah.
And the universal truth is that I know one thing for sure, universally speaking, I have not come across anybody who wants to fail in life.
Yeah.
Likewise, I have not come across any parent who don't like their children,
Yeah,
whether male or female.
yeah.
I loved my daughter as much as I love my son.
Yeah,
There absolutely no difference,
Yeah.
absolutely none whatsoever, because both were my authentic creation.
That's
I'm responsible for their creation.
That's exactly the thought process which needs to bring down. I feel anything and everything which brings you down and doesn't let you grow should be shed. In terms of, it could be, I feel it is just like we take religion as a reason to suppress people's ego. I mean, I've seen a lot of men saying, oh, ye mat kar, oh, wo mat kar. It's just not to say that somebody is it's also to up their ego, that I'm superior or I am. I think more than the religion, more than the men, I think there's a lot of ego which plays a role in suppression and oppression of a woman.
You brought in a psychological dimension of ego.
Yeah.
It's a great study in psychology to understand ego and egoism and whatever.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that right after this short break. Welcome back. We have had a very interesting conversation on women empowerment. No time is sufficient to discuss the entire thing threadbare. We will need many more moments like this to have many more people to talk about issues that affect. As we know that October 11, a few days from now, is been designated as an International Day for the Girl Child. Now, the important part is we do these designations of days, Women's Day, Father's Day, Mother's Day. But the question is, do we follow the same social, affectionate instinct that we mean it? Unless until we mean it, things don't happen. We can talk about it all day long. And so is the situation of peace. Everybody wants peace. Who wants war? But global peace is kind of a misnomer. So much so that people say, to have peace, you must have war. Unless and until there is war, you can't have peace. So too long a peace also is not good, because you need to burst out at times. That's a question, the world peace. And I have said, my prescription for world peace is just acceptance of people around you, just as you are. And if we learn to live within our scope of things and the scope of reference, what is called a territorial imperative, things can become better. So let me ask this question. The women's abuse, I'm diverging from there and taking it to another extreme. So there's a lot of violence against women. Let's talk about global peace. In all this violence against women, we forget there is so much violence going on around the world in the name of XYZ. Let's not talk names here. But you do something, you are violent. I do something, I was justified. How do we address those issues of world peace? Considering the fact that we just celebrated 150 years of Gandhi's.
We celebrated at UN, and I was,
Yes.
I feel blessed that I was a part there, and I did attend where all the dignitaries were present, and I did have the opportunity of gifting them the portraits of Gandhiji. So I just feel thankful to God that I was here. Well, talking more about peace, rather we should speak about the journey to your peace, individual peace. The journey to Gandhiji's peace got us the freedom. The journey of experiments of his truth got us the freedom. So we individually have to really know that what is peaceful for us. Gandhiji, when he was rejected to be sitting in the first class cabin when he was traveling, when he was subjected to a lot of inequality which shook him up and questioned himself and say to himself that what can be done. When he had the dhoti avatar and when he threw everything out and he came back and he said that something is shaking me so badly, something is so not peaceful within my system that I need to do something about it, right? So when you talk about peace, it's a journey. Attaining a state of peace for you and attaining a state of peace for me would be different, right? The principles of Gandhiji are accepted all over the world. Non-violence. What brought us freedom finally at the end, where we did have Bhagat Singh, Shahid Bhagat Singh ji, and so many people who fought for the freedom struggle. But there are certain principles where the whole world has universally accepted, right? And that's how we celebrated 150 years of Gandhiji here. I would request all of us to think, what could be the journey of your peace? If something is really not all right around you, within you, outside of you, is that shaking you? Do you have this conscious level? Do you have this conscious thinking? Do you have this consciousness that everybody needs to be okay and everybody needs to be happy, and it's the universe around you which makes you who you are? It is just not about you. It is about what you contribute to the world. It is your journey. Peace is your journey. How do you arrive to peace? How do I arrive to peace? Maybe something has shaken up me so badly, so madly, that I have so much of anger or so much of willpower or so much of guts that I want to come about and say, this is what it is and this is what I want to fight. So the target is always about bringing in peace as a journey. The journey of Gandhiji brought us freedom. The journey of his peace brought us freedom.
And you are very correct about that, because Mahatma Gandhi gave the world the concept of civil disobedience. He gave the concept of non-cooperation. He gave non-violence. These were the concepts which were the hallmark of the philosophies of Nelson Mandela and Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
They brought about civil rights movement here. But there is something, and I will say very frankly speaking here, पारेश्वर जी आपसे पूछूंगा मैं कि पूछूंगा नहीं, बात विचार चाहता हूँ आपके, is that I feel, in my understanding of things as I began to talk to and study, seeking my own peace, is that I realized that God did not create any religion. Humans did. And thus, God is not responsible for religion. But we all invoke religion in the name of God and use our concept of religion as a diktat for somebody else, my way or highway. And that is the cause of the maximum tension around the world today. And it has been always, whether it was a crusade or a jihad, or you fighting dharma. So violence has existed in human life all along, for one reason or the other. My question here is that how much, and this is a serious thought, which I want to talk more about it as the years go by and days go by, is that if we do not temper our religious extravaganzas, we will have trouble. So when you say, and I say this to all my Christian and Muslim friends, that so long as you believe Jesus is the only way, good for you. Don't tell me I'm wrong. So long as you believe Allah is supreme, good for you. Don't tell me I'm wrong, but your acts define who you are.
Yes.
Just because I have no hair, you have hair, doesn't make me look any bad. It's just a question of individual aspirations. So how do we tone down the religious rhetoric that goes around the world, my way or highway. That is what is causing maximum tension in human beings, and we take that frustration out on whichever element we find weak around us.
A very simple example is if you go through epics. Centuries before, whenever we look into any of the religious stories, or if we pour into history, look back how a certain religion was created, there always been a positive and a negative. Whether it was Mahabharata, whether it was Ramayana, whether it was the story of Jesus Christ, you always had elements who were anti. The concept is, when somebody is promoting a goodwill, there are always people who will oppose them because they have their personal matters of importance to rule the universe or to rule the population. So basically, the concept of religion, if you see any religion, has always been equality and for good dharma, or you can say good karam. You see Sikhism, we faced all the kind of brutalities. You see any other religion, it has always happened. So basically, the concept of religion, all religion teach equality and peaceful life. There never been a kind of mantra for fighting with other religions or to bringing other religions down or to compare other religions. No. The very concept of today's follow-up of religion is because of those individuals who have put them above the religion and become the adversaries, or have become the kind of a protocol for the religion, like mullahs or like babas, like sadhus, and so on and so forth. So basic concept of religion is lost because you have modern kind of individuals who are now leading the rule as the front end for every religion.
So it is the interpretation. It is the interpretation or the power you derive with. We know, it's a very interesting thing. Religion had a role to play, and I'm not denying that part. It has a role to play in terms of bringing social harmony and conformity to a particular practice. That's okay. You live in a community, you have your own set of rules, perfectly okay. But doesn't mean the other community is wrong or doing something evil. So my point is here is that talking about the religious dogmas, science and technology is gradually eroding the religious authority. Now we know women are not longer factor for determining the gender of a child. We know now that thunder and lightning doesn't happen because gods are angry. We know that the rotation of the earth happens in this way. We know that in a God-created world or an evolution, there is one sun, one moon, right? Water is same everywhere. Flowers, roses are rose, elephants, tigers, everything is the same. What do we need to do? How do we promote that message of peace? That religion, do what you want, don't tell me I'm wrong. Conversion is one of those instruments where the victors forced others to conform to their faith. So conversion, I say it very openly, conversion is an ultimate sin against God's original intent.
Yeah,
so true.
It is so true.
Thank you.
I'm again glad about your perspective about conversions, because I'm completely anti-conversions, may it be anything or anyone,
Right.
or any religion, or considering anybody less or more. We need to here very keenly understand that conflict is created when somebody wants to remain in power. It could be in religion, it could be through religion, or it could be in politics. It could be normal ego. The point is, we are not fighting because I'm a Sikh, because you're a Hindu, you're less. We are fighting because we want to feel superior. The time we have a thought process that everybody is equal, and the time that we do not have the need of feeling superior to the others, or we do not have the greed of feeling superior to the others, is the time maybe we'll have peace in life.
Need and greed. Now you used two fundamental words which are most popular in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Do you need something? No. Do you want it? Yes.
Yeah.
So need and want are two different things.
Yeah.
And greed,
Yeah.
you know, like famous Wall Street movie, greed is good.
Yeah.
It's like inflation. When I was studying economics, they said 3% inflation is good because you have growth. Now the question here is, again, we come back to the thought process, is that greed is a dangerous word.
Yeah.
But your greed or your passion, substitute greed with passion, it becomes a different thing altogether. The need to perform and excel is good. That's not greed.
Yeah.
The need to perform, like I always say, is like
Yeah.
you have a need to perform. We all have a need to perform. In
I
a
want to
particular
ask
set
you
of-
one question,
Sure.
if I can. Why do we have a greed? What's the whole point of having? Why do we, or why does anybody, or why does anyone who you say is greedy? Why are they greedy? What are they greedy for?
I will say, I'm reminded of a thought of Swami Vivekananda. When he was asked to define what is poison, you know what he said?
Yeah.
He said, anything in excess.
Yeah.
So if I eat 2 kilos of
Yeah.
cauliflower, or 4 kilos of cake,
Yeah.
or 20 gulab jamuns,
Oh,
or 4 kilos of chicken curry,
okay.
well, they all hurt me. It will hurt my stomach to some
Yeah.
extent. They will have excessive impact. That's why confidence in excess
Yeah.
becomes arrogance.
Yes.
You know, the desire to perform becomes greed to accumulate more. These are things which are, you know, some things to keep you in boundary.
So the whole fight of trying to feel superior, the whole attribute of being greedy to have more, the whole aspect of I'm better than you, I'm talking about universal, to individual. When we remain content with who we are as a person, and our journey towards peace comes out of excelling in what we do, how we do it, and what we contribute, rather than how we accumulate, how we show off, how we want to show that we are superior than others. If it is replaced by care, by love, by giving, by individually growing, and when I say growth, I'm saying earning every bit of what you have, the righteousness. When we are not misusing the power of who you are, you could be a man, you could be a woman. When you do not misuse the power of who you are, the gender you are, the religion you are, the status you are, the person you are, and live as a human being as we are defined. And in the very first standard we are taught, man is a social animal. So at the end of the day, no matter whether we are being greedy, no matter if we are being, in a certain aspect wanting to feel superior, you need to understand one thing, at the end of it, all of us need each other.
We all need each other, and like every conversation that has to come to an end, we are end of time.
Okay.
So thank you, Poonam, for very much for joining me today on this program.
Thank you.
And thank you, Panesarji, for being with us today. It's so delight to have this conversation.
Thank you.
But just to put one more thing, the equality part, and you talked about, if we are ourselves within ourselves. So there's a thing called human potential.
Yeah.
That's the most important part, which is what drives people to perform well.
Yeah.
Because if you are not fulfilling your potential, you
Yeah.
remain an unhappy person.
Yes.
And that's what causes anger and frustration.
Yeah.
So that's a topic of another day. For full equality to happen, equality of opportunity to happen for everybody, we all must achieve our full potential, our potential that God has given us. So
Yeah.
I will pray for you. I
Thank
will
you.
wish you
Thank
that
you.
you achieve your full potential in everything that you do. Not
Yeah.
only one, but everything that
My
you do. And
journey
Panesarji,
towards peace.
thank you very much for joining. And I know you have already achieved a lot and you will achieve more.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
viewers. See you again next week.